to the right, immediate right, is the tourist office here in Arica. When I first arrived last night and then went to dinner and also saw my room, and then over the course of the night, the room having running water, believe it or not, through the walls somewhere, sounding like somebody running a shower. Cold water was hot water was simply a trickle and not very hot, not warm, more than warm. I was pretty bummed out about how dirty and filthy that city was, but I moved about 3, 4, or 5 blocks away. I walked there this morning to get some information, and I'm just kind of panning around now. I'm down in what I think is the central part of town, and it's looking much, much better. And this is a park with fountains there that run all day long, even on weekdays, which is kind of cool. It's nicely done. That is a high point, although there are huge bluffs between here and La Serena that form the coast, and another park up there farther with a church, so I'll wander up in here and we'll see more of the town today. This is one mark of Chile that you don't see in Argentina, even in Buenos Aires, and that is continuously people working on the edifices they've created. Nice, relaxing, tranquil place with the little fountains going. Pretty place to sit. Beautiful trees, or whatever it is creating those beautiful flowers. That is the local government office. Pretty canopies of flowers to sit in and relax. And a fountain that probably does operate, just not today. A few modern buildings around this area. The church. Some either restored or nicely maintained or new buildings. I think I think this may have been not only designed in France, but built in France and then assembled here, but I'm not positive. Relatively simple compared to many churches, but in a nice, elegant way, seemingly. You must be able to buy these. This is about a 4 square block area that is all pedestrian, and it looks like it's been converted. It's crisscrossed by all these little old roads. I'm guessing they're old roads, unless it was designed this way in the initiative. And lots of little kiosks for side businesses in the middle of the mall. It'd be like putting all these in the middle of Jackson Square. Chain it back. This is my salad that I'm having lunch with Maria Jose. Do you mind if I photograph you? Oh, good. That's Maria. She is a lawyer here in Arica, and we're having lunch. Just in case you thought I was a long ways away from home. section of walk streets, pedestrian streets. This is the original site of the Estación de Ferrocarril, Arica a La Paz. That was the railroad station. And now it's a kind of a pretty plaza with the old train, which we'll go over and take a closer look at in a second. This is down in the center of town, but another pretty fountain. Or at least a water piece, not a fountain. So this is a steam engine, and that center rail is a cogwheel, I believe, very much like the one that I took in Strahan, Tasmania, Australia. It's used for getting a train up, a heavily loaded train up a steep incline. Another mechanism works there that makes for positive connection to the rails. Not much to see on the inside. It's just good that such a thing is preserved as a memento of the past. And this was the actual train station. And now it's got a amphitheater in the front of it here, just ahead of us, as you can see. And then some pretty areas for shade, which look very French. I don't know why I'm saying that, it just seems to connect for some reason. On the sidewalk next to the train station are what look like petroglyphs. I don't know whether they're reproductions or just fanciful ones. Looks like a frog, and they look like animals for sure. Guanaco. This the pelican. And this one again, I think a guanaco, and it has some green tint in it, or yellow, so apparently they used to be painted. So if you were taking the train in 1805, you would have come in through here. And somewhere you would have sat down here, bought your ticket, given up your baggage, perhaps gone upstairs, maybe there were offices there. Certainly checked the time. This entryway may have accommodated a train, I don't know. Some massive doors on it. Well, large anyway. Okay, a young gentleman who noticed me looking around like a tourist, gee, how do you know, said this is where the trains came in and they stopped. This was the end of the line right here. And so you would have gotten your ticket here. Perhaps the large doors were to allow vehicles back into this area, and then you could have waited. And hopefully and perhaps this cover is an original cover. I think it probably is, because it's somewhat deteriorated down at the other end. And this train here, I'm not sure what it was used for. It's kind of a small gauge, looks like a small train. I don't know if it's a small gauge track train or not. It's certainly smaller than the other train we just saw. That was apparently an original scale used probably for weighing cargo. Some miscellaneous tools here, probably for making, this one looks like for bending tubes. It actually has a brass plaque on it still. I'm not sure what this one would have been used for. Maybe to bend track a bit. Life is short for some, and the end ignominious. And here, a nice addition to this museum concept that actually continues to work. An old train converted into a nice restaurant. As you can see, some bit of elegance in there. Perhaps that's the way you could have traveled wherever this train went to. So this crane that you'll see in a moment was made in London, Glasgow, or Leicester, by Appleby. Notice that it's capable of pivoting on its platform. some of the original seating. Always fascinates me to look at things so personal as a chair and wonder what were the tragedies, what were the dreams that the people that sat here had. How many novels, how many great movies could be made of that information. Straight out of Hollywood. Walked so close to it I didn't notice it. It looks like a pressurized fire brigade type of thing. Maybe it had a chemical in it. The reason I say that are these valves on top. Second floor. And the stairs down. Pretty ironwork. This is an old bellows that might have been used with the forge outside. This is the old forge. This representing where the train went, presumably from point number 1 up along that route that you see there on the left, and in the smaller map, the rest of the direction, or the distance. This is the aduana or customs house, also designed by Eiffel of France, an Eiffel Tower. This is the fish market. This is a huge statue of Christ. It's probably 30, 40, 50 feet high. Sitting on top of what's called El Morro. I'll get a better picture of that when I get down below. I'm just going to slowly pan over to the right, which is to the south, and so you can see what this area looks like. The coast looks pretty much like this all the way from La Serena north to here to Arica. That's a pretty looking spot. Probably very nice homes down there. Another monument nearby to some kind of war. La Bayonetta, whatever that means, sleeping bayonet. Flags of Chile. It's interesting, this whole monument is ringed with flagpoles that might have, still may, old flags from wherever. And this, a monument to General Lagos, whoever that was. And there, what looks like some kind of bigger gun, whether it was ever used, I don't know. Fronted by a couple of more antique ones. Krupp Canyon, 1912. Company that was to make quite a bit of money in the next 50 years. I also wonder what that white area is. I'm guessing it's some kind of the tailings from some kind of mine. Maybe I'll be able to tell when I can look at the video on the computer screen. Some typical hats worn by the infantry over time. A triangle used for providing braces, but the full explanation of its use is printed on it. Clever and useful. The war that's most glorified, if not the only one, is the War of the Pacific, 1879, where they threw out, I think, the Spanish, and it may have also been where they captured this part of Chile from surrounding countries. special monument to those men who died in that achievement of taking Arica. It looks like a very old cannon. And some more recent projectiles. God, if they actually hit you, they really would do some damage. Jose San Martin, apparently as famous here as he is in Argentina. I think this is a nurse's outfit, although I question that they ever really had many of them dressed this way. My guess is they took whoever could do the job and they did it with whatever they were wearing. The pomp and circumstance of war. The uniforms that glorify and define who to kill and not to kill. Up on the hill is Jesus that I just literally visited. Had the taxi driver drive me down to this part of town that I could see from up there. One of my strategies, and now I'll just meander my way back into the center of town. But first I thought I'd grab this mural. Don't know what its significance is, if any. I had the taxi driver drop me off where I saw a lot of green, figuring that might be parks, and I'm somewhat right. But also right here is a big giant casino, well, giant for here, that I saw on the last night coming in. But next to it is a park, unless it's been incorporated as part of the project for the casino. And they've just started planting flowers here, so someday that'll be pretty. This is Parque Brasil. This is a pretty nice large park. Seems a little barren, but doesn't have any benches or anything to sit on. And it needs to be redone. It's in a very large residential area. A whole bunch of turkey vultures flying over here for what reason I don't know. Don't know for who that is, but for sure who that is. But I'm guessing it's Don Quixote. But it says something about America. But that could refer to South and North America both. This may be a tribute to the Aymara. So if you're a housewife, this is like a giant Walmart. There's all kinds of clothing and stuff around here, but the food is better and more of it, and more opportunity. One of the great local products in this area is olives, and here are many forms. Down there, a large booth dedicated to flowers. Here, various fruits. I love places like this. This is the guts of a culture, I think. And certainly a window into it to understand, which I don't, where all these products came from, what the chain of distribution is. Spices, corn, look at the corn. Okay, from this position off the side of the road, there are some kind of things made out of rocks, which I assume are ancient, but I don't know. I'll ask Whistler. I'll just do a pan across slowly to see them there. Apparently they go up along the hillside there also. But certainly very obvious and clever, but the first time I've seen it, use of these hills, or any hills, for this purpose. It may be because there's lots of rocks up there, I'm guessing. Guanacos. Don't know what that is, nor that. And these are called geoglyphs.